Welcome to the darkness.
Darkness. Oh.
The darkness.
Darkness.
The darkness is here.
This is very true. How we doing? Look, let me just show before we even get into that. Hey, Jennifer, I see you there. Blackman, Chesterfield, Pep. See you guys in there as well. Eunice, I see you there. Jamario, I see you. Hello, how we doing? Thanks for joining us. Okay, that's good. Hey, how you doing, man? Hey, look, everybody, how we doing? Hope you're having a good Sunday afternoon. Well, evening for us, as you know, the clock's gone back, so it plays dark now. So that's
man.
Everything black now. But anyway, welcome to the show. Welcome to the living room. As usual, it's me, Andre, my co-host and good friends, Mark and Philip. And as usual, we just like to have a good old Sunday afternoon Caribbean conversation and chat. So do us a favor, hit share, bring in all your network so we can just have a good old chat. How are you doing, guys?
Doing well.
Doing good. No. No.
Hey, Pat. Wait, no. What happened? Hey.
So.
Well, Lauren, story time.
Okay. We waiting.
Hey, man, let's start with. So,
no.
You know Sunday coming.
Yeah.
I was very hesitant to share this, but I feel as though it's worthwhile.
Is it tugging at your heart?
Yeah, I think it's worthwhile.
Come on, things.
Hey, Carla.
So,
come on, let me go.
3 weeks ago,
while
it was on this show, 3 weeks ago, what were we doing 3 weeks ago? I think that's when we had
either the breast cancer or
breast cancer.
During the breast cancer show.
Yeah.
I was very quiet in that show. And the reason for that was I was ill.
Were you?
I was actually ill, and just about half an hour before that show, I tested positive for COVID.
Yes.
And I suspected it during the week. I was starting to feel a little bit ill and so on. But then the night before, I found it really difficult to breathe. Mm-hmm. And I actually had to sit upright to sleep. And then I did a lateral flow test, which is fascinating now that I understand how exactly they work. And I got
lateral
2
flow
lines.
is the one that you do at home.
Yeah, the home test. So I didn't bother to do a PCR test, which
you didn't do one?
To the lab.
Oh, okay.
Sorry? No, I didn't do a PCR. No, because I had the symptoms. I didn't plan to travel. And I work from at home anyway. Mm-hmm. So I didn't need any further sort of certification.
You know you had it.
I know I had it for sure.
Well, and research showed that those lateral flow tests are now actually much more accurate than they thought initially. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So pretty much, if you get that, that's pretty much going to be the case.
Yeah. So that was a couple of days of feeling rather tired, and just trying to rest. It was a difficult time for me to take off of work completely.
I can imagine.
Mm-hmm. But what I did was I just scaled things down and just said, I was open with people at work and said, look, I tested positive and I'm actually symptomatic.
So you said before you did the test, you were kind of feeling the symptoms. What symptoms were you feeling?
So I had a cough. Mm-hmm. My taste was starting to become a little bit metallic-y, sort of.
Right.
And then by Sunday, actually that Sunday, because I remember what I cooked. That Sunday.
But you can taste it.
I can taste it.
Jeez, boy, that must be hell for you.
I was gonna say, and that is different hoe. But
anyway, I cooked a dish of rice, and inside the rice, I had ginger and garlic and peppers and
so things you should taste.
Things you should taste. But I did it in a different way. It was rice at the bottom, 1 part rice, 1 part water, and then you put the chicken on the top and put everything in the oven. Mm-hmm. So by the end of that, the chicken is roasted and the rice is cooked, but with all the juice.
Not a whole chicken pillow.
I asked him about his symptoms. You might tell me how he cook a chicken.
Yeah. Anyway, by the end, when we were eating it, Nicole was like, this tastes real good. I was like, really?
You can't taste
nothing. Yeah.
But you suspected before she said that, or after she said that, it confirmed it to you?
Yeah, that confirmed it to me that I needed to go and do a test. And then during the week, it was completely gone. Smell and taste, and that's a fascinating thing to experience.
Oh wow!
Not having a sense of taste and not having a sense of smell. So everything sort of not even tastes the same, but the experience in your mouth is the same. So you could be eating curry, porridge, whatever.
Wow.
So I started to get worried because Christmas is coming.
Of course.
So I was like, and from what I was reading, they said that your sense of taste could be gone for like 12 weeks.
Oh dear.
Wow.
Right. So I started experimenting with doing different sniff tests and also different textures of food. I said, okay, if I'm gonna get through this and still have a good cuisine experience, maybe I could experiment with different textures. You know, at least have something.
You might be real scientific on this thing, though. But
I had to do something.
Most people just say, "Oh, my taste gone," but you gotta eat something. But you gone in by this, man.
But I also started with sniffing as well. I chose very specific things over the couple of days to keep smelling. So like cloves and vanilla, citrus, those sort of things. And then it came back probably like 3 or 4 days.
We always behaving.
I don't know what you mean. Let's look how much attention we paying here. Look.
Yeah, we understand.
About 3 or 4 days it came back. But when the smell came back, that was odd.
All right.
Because initially everything smelled like it was burning. Everything that was cooking just smelled like it was burning. So that was the first sensation,
right?
Which is an interesting thing because maybe that's the body's way of protecting you. Something like a burning smell, you should be quite sensitive towards that because that's a safety mechanism.
Yeah,
that's true. That's actually quite
so
fascinating.
Did anyone else in the house test positive?
No, which I thought was also interesting.
Okay. Do you attribute that? But did you do anything different? Did you walk about with a mask at home? Did you stay in a different room?
Yes, so I stayed in a different room. We didn't have a lot of close contact. Not really that close anyway. No, just kidding.
Oh dear.
You said it.
Anyhow,
you see how people's getting me, right? People would say that would be something I would say. I did not say that. He said
anyway. Right. Yeah. Yeah. We were just sensible.
Right.
With it.
Right.
But Nicole and the kids, they were constantly testing, doing lateral flow tests.
Right.
And they had no symptoms or anything. Oh. So I think this could be attributed, yes, to distancing, but maybe also to the vaccine, which I then did some reading up on as well in terms of the 3 different mechanisms that the vaccine has. Because the challenge of fighting a virus is you don't want to destroy your own cells, right? So you can't have something that's just going to go in and destroy. So the way the vaccine works is it either closes down the receptors that the virus could attach to your cells, or it builds up the antibodies in your immune system to catch them in isolation, or it stops them from reproducing.
Right.
So those are the sort of 3 mechanisms.
Yeah.
But because it's stopping them from reproducing, that's also inhibiting. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I thought this is a good outcome.
So how you feeling now?
I would say for the last 2 weeks, I've still felt really tired, and it surprised me. And I stopped. I didn't do any running or anything like that. I just started back doing walking. But I was surprised at how tired I was, how much of a toll it takes and drains your body to fight that battle within.
Right.
You know, but feeling good.
Wow.
No, that's good, man. That's good, man.
No.
Going.
Yeah, man, and it's great because as both of you know as well, we had a bout of COVID in our house too.
Oh yes,
and we did too a few months ago. Yeah.
Well,
Chris was home from school this week because he tested positive just over a week ago, and we too had to go and do a PCR and a bit of testing over the course of the week. But I'll tell you something, it is so disruptive, you know. Oh my days, man. And it's funny because I wrote somebody in Barbados and I said to them, Christian has COVID and, you know, we just doing a couple of things and readjusting and so forth. And they said, the first response they said to me was, well, I hope he survives. And that really, that kind of took me back. And it really made me think about how we, in two different instances, are dealing with this virus. Because I think at home at the moment, when people hear COVID, they immediately think the absolute worst and death. Whilst, in all fairness, that never even crossed my mind in his case.
Yeah.
So I think there's a way in which we are dealing with it across different nations and in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's just reflective of what's happening in the Caribbean right now, and the feeling of what's happening. I mean, in Barbados these days, it's not uncommon to hear 4 or 5 or so people dying a day for the last couple of weeks. So I think that's just where people's heads are at, as far as if they catch COVID, the feeling is already down the line.
Yep.
And while 4 or 5 might not seem like a lot, considering here in the UK, what was it the other day, like 100 and something or so for the last few days. I think nearly 200 or over 200 people were dying a day. But when you put that in context of a small island, well, that says a lot, actually, and it's a lot for us. So I think it's just where people's heads are at when they hear someone has COVID, to think they're on a journey to the worst, unfortunately.
Yeah, but he's on the mend now, so that's good. So, but it's never far from home.
No, well,
reality.
Honestly,
That's our reality. Absolutely.
I think no is not a matter of if you're gonna contract COVID.
It is when.
It's a matter of when you can contract COVID. I that's just the way how I see it now.
Yeah.
I mean, here in the UK, I mean, the whole mask wearing thing and stuff going through the editors now. Nobody don't even check for that, you know. I mean, you on the train, on the underground and stuff, people just going about the business, doing what they got to do, and what have you. So I know you're coming to winter too, so you know the windows of the trains closed, the windows of the thing closed, so nobody ain't opening the windows and everybody just sputtering all over the place, you know. So I think it's a matter of when, as opposed to if you can contract. The key now is, have you done everything you need to do to protect yourself and those in your household? And I think that's the key, you know. And
I would say another thing too is I've been running for a few years now, right? Not that I'm a great super marathon runner or something like that, but I sense that by working on my cardiovascular and strengthening that, I think there was something in that that also helped me to cope with the with the breathing issues.
Yeah. And that's an important point, because, you know, I don't think people sometimes recognize how much strengthening we need to do to really, you know, stay fit and healthy, just in case we are attacked. You know, it's good that you're recovering, though, Phil. Good that you're back to your fighting best, man.
Back. Well done.
And you can see that, you know, a lot of people there in the chat extending quite a lot.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't take it for granted.
So good. Man, you know they love you in the chat, too.
I love them, too.
I'm surprised that Pep interrupt the flowers here. Yeah.
Our bowl of food. But anyway, I think that's what you're doing.
That is the thing. That is the thing.
But look, to anyone who's joining us for the first time, normally most weeks we would have a whole bunch of guests in talking about whatever topic. But normally when we take a little bit of a break, we come back and we just catch up. So look, as usual, we always say that you guys in the audience are part of the show. So you can tell us whatever it is that you want us to talk about or you want to engage us with today. We got a whole bunch of things, but hey, you guys feel free to throw something in the chat if you want to hear our opinion on anything that's going on across the region at the moment. One thing that I saw across the region is this thing in Jamaica. Y'all been following that? With the church thing? The church thing with the cult and the man, that the priest that killed about 3 people, or I call it a priest, but the head of some church or what have you, that thing. And then he ended up himself dying with police custody as well a few days later.
In an accident.
Well,
interesting.
Accident. That sounds a little bit too that sounds a little bit too convenient, man.
I saw the outcome, but I didn't recognize the backstory. I didn't read into the backstory. So what was this about?
So there's a church, well, call it a church. I guess it's a church. And let's just say the pastor, he get a little bit too high on his spirit, or whatever it is he was on, some kind of spirit, and decide that he was Jesus reincarnate and come back and pretty much that he could, you know, tell his flock and stuff what they need to do and all that kind of stuff. But I think the guys in the Virgin Islands Consortium did a really good piece on it. And shout out to the Virgin Islands Consortium as well. I think those guys doing a fantastic job across the region as well. So they did a good piece on it, and it was really just talking about, what the stuff that the pastor was doing. And basically, it turned into a death cult at the end of the day. And then he got arrested and that kind of stuff. So it's interesting to see.
But listen, we oh, you rubbing off on me?
I saw Carla's message there.
Yeah.
Actually, I will share it on the online on Facebook.
Man, tell me about it, because I want to hear it
again.
Yeah.
As a way of celebrating.
So what? It was a whole chicken and rice.
Whole chicken and rice. You just put your rice. You put all your seasoning inside the rice. Put the chicken on top. Cover it down. And let it cook.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
It's good.
Okay.
I would share it. It's an excellent thing. It's quick and tasty. Exactly what you need.
Okay. Well, there you have it, Carla.
But yeah, there you have it.
I'll share it with you, Carla. I'll share the recipe.
Indeed. But that was one of the things that I saw happening across the region, though. That was an interesting one and scary as well to see that the amount of people that actually bought in to this church and this guy and the stuff he was saying and that kind of thing, especially coming on to the end. It was just crazy. But I'm sure there's a lot more to come around there. Yeah,
well, it's, I suppose it's also interesting at this moment in history as well, where there's been a lot of voices, just going back to the conversation we were having earlier around COVID and a lot of people trying to throw their influence into that in one way or another. And it just feels as though in the Caribbean at the moment, we're going through some really difficult times with grappling with truth and integrity around what people are saying and what people are doing. I was shocked when I read this story in Jamaica, actually, because just some of the things that the people were asked to do coming on to the end of it, I felt was so far-fetched. But perhaps it wasn't that far-fetched as I thought it was, because, people were happy to be instructed. And it just feels as though we I don't know, something strange is going on across our region, man. Really strange.
Yeah, I mean, that was I suppose it can happen anywhere when you put too much when you're on the pastor and not looking to where you're supposed to look.
Hi, Alison.
You kind of believe in a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, hey, Alison, how you doing? So it would appear that that's what happened. And I think we all would say, oh, that would never happen to me, or never happen in our country, or never happen wherever. But clearly that's the case there, what happened there in Jamaica. So it's interesting to see. And I don't think the story is ending. I think there's a lot more there that you could read up about. Hey, Betty
Lewis.
Absolutely.
But I know you've been following the cricket, man.
Oh my Lord.
I know you invested.
I over-invest, man, to be honest. I thought to myself, right, I can give these fellas a chance. I can take out a subscription and watch this whole World Cup, because I expect my guys to do something. Man, we'll do something what, man?
Well, you should be telling Phil. Did we say we told you so?
I don't mind throwing them, man. Whenever people truly do. Every time
I was hoping to.
No. There was something not right with this here, man. There was something not right from the
game has moved on, man.
Tournament.
The game.
The game one thing. I mean the team. There was something not right from the very beginning.
The body language of all of them, if you look at them, even when they're feeling together or they're batting together, they're not exchanging any words. And I saw Jason Holler got out in a match there, and he was walking off.
Man.
Yeah, he was walking off the field. I think it was with Pollard, and they never exchanged a word. It just seemed really strained. So there's a real lack of camaraderie in this team, man. So I'm in surprise, really.
Not just camaraderie. I mean, even before you get to the team, this is the first time in a long time. I mean, you get it from time to time, where you see so many people across the region couldn't understand the team that was chosen to go to a World Cup or something like that. You get it from time to time, and sometimes it's the odd person here. What about this person? What about that person? I mean, you had Caribbean leaders right up and down the Caribbean trying to understand, what is this?
Yeah.
what kind of team is this that getting picked? And it was going on for weeks before the tournament. Not to mention then Chris Gayle busting up at Ambrose for commenting, as is his right.
Ambrose won that one.
Well,
in the end.
very true, very true. But I mean, so there was almost something not right going on with this team. It was like, man, something ain't right here, man. This just ain't looking right. You know,
no.
so.
But that said, I still think we gotta it was, and it's funny, because I heard people saying it was Dwayne Bravo's last game.
It was
last game that they played, and he's been a good, faithful servant to West Indies cricket, and he's now retired from international cricket, and he's been an excellent player over the years, But sometimes you can go on too long for some of these guys. Yes, Betty.
Whoa.
Bit harsh there, Betty.
That's heavy.
You're going a bit far there. Heavy. But those we have West Indies in our hearts, man, and we always want them to do well. But it just felt as though this was a tournament too far for a lot of these players, and they should not have been there in the first place.
But do you think though that was because in the past we had players who the cricket board kind of let go abruptly? And that was also something that was talked about quite a lot, whether it be Shanda Paul, whether it be Desmond Haynes back in the day, and a few others who they just disappear and they didn't really show them any respect. Do you think they were overcompensating for that in this particular tournament?
In a big way, because we almost gone too far the other side now with sentiment. We don't know how to bring careers to an end. So we're letting the players dictate when they leave the stage. That is the West Indies mistake, I think, in a huge way in this particular World Cup.
I think so.
Well,
Go, Phil.
No, I just say, I think that sentiment isn't that. I don't see a problem with that sentiment, because what it does is it could actually be one way of re-injecting a little bit of connection. Right, he is now a face and an icon of cricket in the West Indies. So if we allow him to, if we build a lot of noise around him, that could help with the rebuilding of the team morale and so on for the future.
No. I don't think so.
Why not? Why wouldn't it?
No, because there's been enough building around him for the longest while. Building around in the last game,
but
ain't gonna do nothing.
But it's over.
Now look, he should not even have been at this World Cup. That is the truth.
They ain't gonna do nothing. And the problem is though, is that when you start talking like that, people from those countries or supporters of those people begin to think that you're disrespecting them or something like that, because that's the big thing that he get on with Ambrose and stuff about. And no, you're not diminishing what Chris Gayle has done in West Indies cricket, but in my opinion, West Indies cricket is bigger than Chris Gayle, just as it's bigger than any member of the team.
It is indeed.
So to me, you got to say, what is the purpose of us going to the World Cup? To win or to give some men their last game at a World Cup?
Yeah.
And if it is that you're going to win, then you got to pick a team to win.
That will win. Yeah.
And that's what you got to do. Now, if you decide at some point in time, again, the same thing with Test cricket. Yes, you might want to play a final game at home. If you got a team that can carry you, because let me be honest, at this point, Gayle is not carrying the West Indies. He has many times in the past, but he isn't now. If you got a team that can carry you, and by putting you in, we can still compete in this game, by all means. But to me, where our cricket is right now, are you trying to win something? You can't afford to be carrying Chris Gayle. And I like Chris Gayle, don't get me wrong, I like Chris Gayle bad.
Okay.
But it's just a reality of where we are. And then too, if I be honest...
So you think it should have been focused on developing young talent as opposed to celebrating older talent?
Well,
I'm trying to say.
No, but you got to find a way to balance to do both. You got to find a way to do both.
Yeah, and to be honest, legends leave sport all the time, and other sports find ways to honor their sports people, whether it is, you can still carry on, and you might bring them back into a stadium or something at some point to acknowledge what they've done and so forth. But it is kind of getting that separation out of the team to make sure that they have done what they needed to do, but they're not there to be ineffective, because I think Gail has been very ineffective in this World Cup, and that's why I say you can go on too long.
Yeah, and there isn't only one way to honor somebody, right? You can honor without playing you. The problem is that becomes that if you think that by not playing me is somehow disrespecting me. But if you, I think in other teams around the world, at times when they have legends, even say like the Italian football team and stuff, sometimes they might actually take them to the World Cup, but they're not part of the starting 11.
Right.
But if you get to a point where you're saying, okay, we out, they might give you your last game when it makes no difference to the outcome of what we're doing after we try to win. And now, would he have accepted that? Maybe not. But to me, he should have been the reserve player that you take to the World Cup. And you take him to the World Cup. You're still honoring him. If you get to the point where you're being knocked out, then you say, Gail, on you go. Now, if you go and score 100, no, that's another matter. But if then the argument can be, so why you played from the beginning? But that's besides the point. And to be honest with you, the way how we was carrying on, and I support Gail for a lot of times with a lot of the controversies he had over the years. I was like, nah, I like Gail. Because the thing I really like about Gail is that, to me, he really carried the Caribbean spirit of the smile, the laugh, even going through good times, bad times with the bat. He always had a, that way of carrying himself. Yeah. And I was like, I appreciate that. I really, really appreciate that about Gail. The last few times down the way, how we started carrying on about our own legends, somehow believing that as if he's above them in some form or way.
Got it.
I was like, really?
No.
Really? And if you can keep such noise, you can't go to a tournament and let your high be 15. Sorry.
You can't feel.
Sorry. Go home. So that's it. That's the way how I feel about that. But I like Chris Gayle. I like Dwayne Bravo too. I wish both of them well when they go off in wherever direction they go in their post-career days,
Yeah, I'm sure we won't see the last of both of them. So it should be quite interesting to see what they do next. As far as cricket is concerned.
Yeah, I think so. But look, they've been great servants. You got to thank them for their service. They've done fantastically well, and you just wish them well for whichever area they're going. I think Bravo might be going into music. Don't know what Chris Gayle going into. He might be doing the same thing. But we wish them both well, I think.
Yeah, man. I think so. And you never know, Phil. There's always a spot there on the team for your out to the back of the hand.
For you slow bowling.
Slow bowling? Listen, the next time we get together,
we keep hearing this.
Bring out the cricket bat.
He says so all the time, knowing very well the next time we get together, the middle of winter, that ain't happening. That's me saying all the time. In the summer, you don't hear that, but you hear that as you get in the winter.
I'm sure we could find a little indoor turf.
Aye.
And get something happening.
That's all right, slow bowling will be good.
Fair enough.
We will see.
Mm-hmm. So you've been keeping an eye on COP26?
I mean,
a little bit.
Yes,
a little bit.
More than a little bit, to be honest with you. I actually was listening to see what was happening and seeing what will happen. I see Biden falling asleep a few times in company people's speeches.
Having to be nudged.
Having to get a little nudge. Listen, man, that was kind of frightful to watch. But I guess the question you would always ask that, are the world leaders actually taking it serious? Don't know. See, someone was saying the other day, a whole bunch of world leaders come together to talk about climate change, and everybody turned up in a private jet and had about 4 or 5 cars driving behind them at every time. But then talking about climate change and emissions. I was like, actually, that's a good point.
Yeah, there's no integrity. Thousands of people putting so much strain on the earth resources to talk about how we protect the earth is a little bit of a contradiction.
I completely agree. But I must say, I was pleased to see the Caribbean representation there over the few days. I thought the guys did pretty good.
Yeah, and I think Prime Minister Motley was quite scathing in her opening remarks, and perhaps rightfully so, because it what she said needed to be said.
Yeah,
I think so too. I don't know if everybody can understand this whole finger pointing thing though, because she's
people here get very offended when you do that. Yeah? Why are you pointing at me?
Who's this woman behaving? She finger at me all the time, man. So, but no, I thought she needed to be. I thought she said what needed to be said. I thought she said it in a way that needed to be said as well. And it wasn't just rhetoric. I think I was impressed with clearly it was a well-researched speech because she gave solutions as well. Because it's easy to go up there and say, oh, dear me, please keep the sea level down and keep the temperatures down to below 1.5 and what's not. We can't do anything about it. But she didn't just go say that. She actually she argued the case as to why it's an issue, argued to why it's important to everybody. She spoke from a Caribbean perspective once again, and not just a Barbados perspective.
Yeah.
And not only that, she included Africa and the Pacific Islands and what's not also. And rightfully so, it got the attention that it deserved. I mean, I saw news outlets right across the world carrying
CNN,
that speech.
Al Jazeera.
All across the world, in Australia, the news outlets in Africa, in South America, that was one speech that stood out because I think she spoke exactly what needed to be said. Yeah, it was really good. We should have a little listen. We got it there? Yeah, mute. Let me just put it up. And then let's have a little listen there again.
What the world needs now, my friends, is that which is within the ambit of less than 200 persons who are willing and prepared to lead. Leaders must not fail those who elect them to lead. And I say to you, there is a sword that can cut down this Gordian knot, and it has been wielded before. The central banks of the wealthiest countries engaged in $25 trillion of quantitative easing in the last 13 years. 25 trillion. Of that, 9 trillion was in the last 18 months to fight the pandemic. Had we used that 25 trillion to purchase bonds, to finance the energy transition, or the transition of how we eat, or how we move ourselves in transport, we would now today be reaching that 1.5 degrees limit that is so vital to us. I say to you today in Glasgow that an annual increase in the SDRs of $500 billion a year for 20 years, put in a trust to finance the transition, is the real gap, Secretary General, that we need to close, not the 50 billion being proposed for adaptation. And if 500 billion sounds big to you, guess what? It is just 2% of the 25 trillion. This is the sword we need to wield.
Wow.
I'm sure Boris was still happy with what he was hearing there, though.
But you wonder if he was actually listening. He was just going.
I am sure he was still happy with what he was hearing there, because he looked rather annoyed actually and very upset.
Yeah, if you study body language, that
it's very defensive.
Folded arms, very defensive. Yeah.
But I think it is a case where, look, the leading countries, or I say leading in terms of this G7, G20 kind of thing, they're just not used to people coming and talking to them and talking at them. They're not talking to people who dare to come and call them out in less than, and not just using rhetoric. And I think sometimes that's the fear that you see from countries when they go to these things. Everyone goes and just uses rhetorical stuff, or they speak, here's the problem for me, this is happening, or the sea level is rising, all good stuff and all correct. But the fact of the matter is, in my opinion, people don't listen to that kind of thing. They could care less. They know full well what's happening. But to have someone to just really be pointedly go, y'all doing nonsense, here's what y'all could do. While we here suffering, y'all take out $25 trillion, embark in quantitative easing. Here was what a better way that y'all could do with this money to help everybody and not just yourselves.
Yeah.
And in some other conversations, you were seeing people saying, yes. What was it? I think it was an interview, I think either with CNN or I think it was Gaston Brown talking to the BBC as well. I think he was saying, what might just be a few meters of coastline for y'all is the entire island disappearing. So while y'all got time, y'all could push to 2070, 20 whatever, 20 whatever, and lose a few meters of coastline.
We can't.
For For us, that's half an island, a whole island. That is stuff. So, I was pleased with that. I was pleased with that speech. I guess my problem, though, having been pleased and making my girls sit down and watch this thing, because I thought it was important for my girls to see a Caribbean leader speaking on the world stage, unafraid, one, and speaking directly with authority and not only just intelligently, because I think all of our leaders were speaking intelligently. My thing was more speaking with authority.
Okay.
I think that was my thing. Speaking intelligently, no, because I think we do.
That's
anyway.
part of the course.
That's part of the course. My thing was speaking on that stage and speaking with some serious authority and just commanding it. And I thought it was important for them to see that. Now, that said, my question is what is happening at home, and I don't mean just Barbados, does it marry with the speech? And that is the question I think that we know. The speech was great. It had to be said. No lies in the speech, if you know what I mean. And it had to be said because we were speaking at what is causing something. And you had the right audience, and I firmly agree. In the region now, we can't affect the cause on a global stage, but we can do things to try to minimize its impact and effects on our countries. And my thing is, are we doing that?
Well, I think this is where a lot of fingers will get pointed back at our leaders for, the stance that they have taken, because I think people recognize that there is a global position to be taken in this whole argument around the environment and climate. But at the same time, I think our people feel very conflicted about our leaders when they're doing these things on the global stage. But when they look at the decisions that are being taken locally, in places like the same Barbados, and how we've treated our coastline over the years, in places like Antigua and what they're doing in places like St. Lucia, I think our people feel very conflicted about the messages that our leaders are putting out there, even if that's the right message. It just doesn't seem to marry up at home with what people are seeing as their reality.
No, I agree.
But also, do you think that in the Caribbean, that we also, as the people, think about the environment, and especially our particular environment, our coastline, as well, the effect of the climate change? Are we really as concerned as we could be or should be?
I think so. I think when you see, now it might come across in slightly different and nuanced arguments, right? So it might come across in the argument, and you follow the golden thread in access to the sea. No, and developments right up against the shoreline and what's not. I think we do, but I think the example will be shown on Mark's favorite word, on some of the policies that get implemented to guide people in that conversation. If you get a government saying with no uncertain terms, yes, we want foreign direct investment, yes, we want to see some of the hotel chains and stuff here, but from here on in, there will be no more developments on our coastline, and here's why. People will follow you. Because it brings it into direct context as to why you're doing what you're doing and how it's impacting us as a nation. You can always link it to access to the sea, which is a big thing at home as well. And by home, I mean across the region. And I think people will pay more attention there, as well as then doing other things from an environmental perspective when it comes to landfill and plastics and all this kind of stuff that we talk about. So I think that when you do local stuff, I think people will engage more. But it got to be big, impactful stuff. To me, it got to be more than charging us 10p for a plastic bag.
Plastic bags, that sort of stuff.
Or more, as good as it is. I know in Barbados, the single-use plastics, the ban is on that as well. Fantastic thing. I think that's great. But when it comes then to the whole climate change argument, which is again going to be an environmental argument as well, I think you got to do some big policy changes. And for me, none bigger than no direct investment of hotels on our shoreline anymore, because that's your first layer of protection.
Well, I think you also have to consider that the biggest earner of revenue for Caribbean, a lot of Caribbean economies, is tourism. Tourism generates a lot of money, but people come from far-flung places on long-haul flights, which are often very polluting. So when you talk about having to change how we re-establish how we want to be in this economy in this green economy, the big policy shifts will have to come around how we generate wealth, because if the pressure will come from people coming to our countries from far-flung places and polluting the environment, it means we're going to have some really significant decisions to make about what does our economies then need to look like, and how do we want to engage with larger nations and not get stifled just because we might be, seeing people coming to our shores from long-haul flights. So I think it's a really significant time for us and how we engage in the conversation.
I think those are some really big shifts.
Huge.
And some other things that I was thinking about. There was a lot of noise about people like China, Brazil, Russia not being present. China is a very interesting one, because there's a lot of pressure on China as the number one polluter in the world to reduce their emissions.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, why is China so high up there besides their population? One of the reasons why their emissions are so high is because that's where the factories are. That's where we get all the cheap electronics, all the cheap clothing, all the cheap toys, and so on. Are we prepared to give that up?
Well. This is a really interesting question, and this is a question which you also have to ask the young people who have been very vocal in this conversation, because a lot of the digital life that they enjoy comes with a price. And I know they know this, but you can't just point fingers at people. You've got to recognize that a lot of times the significant change that we have to go through is going to be so fundamental that it will mean doing things completely and radically different. Yeah, everything in our houses, everything we wear comes from the other part of the world most of the times. So
I agree.
There's a huge effort to be made on our part in terms of reforming how we want to live.
I don't know why sweating so bad.
It's winter, man. What happened?
Oh yeah, but I ain't trying to feel like. Why you feel like a shiny?
You going to heating?
Huh?
You going to heating already?
The heating on, but it lower down, so it shouldn't be. Yeah, sweating bad. But anyhow, no, I agree. There's a whole host of stuff that we need to change how we engage with the whole global the global economy, and then how we as well generate wealth as smaller countries. That said, there's still a lot of connection that we need that we don't necessarily control the changes in the technology, which is a different conversation to have as well. Because there's a lot to be said, which again, the pandemic would have shown us that there's a lot that we as a region need to be investing in ourselves to ensure that some of these forces, we can minimize the impact on us.
Yeah.
And what are we doing? So yes, tourism is a big thing. It's going to be a long time before we able to change that of how tourists get to the Caribbean, so to speak. The vehicles they use, and then the fuel that those vehicles use. So to me, there's still a lot that we need to then think about as well as to what are we doing to help safeguard ourselves, even as we continue to engage in the economy as we slowly divest from what it is. And I ain't convinced that we're doing it.
I don't think. Well, I don't think we are. I feel it is one of them things that is put in the too difficult box for our local politicians. And your point about the coastline is a classic one. because there's a lot of protections that need to happen there that need to be invested in. We can't continue to lose our coastlines, because we will see places falling into the sea, and over time we will see more floods, and we will see we can't survive as a people. When you listen to the Prime Minister of India, COP, saying, well, we will get to net zero, but we're not going to get there till 2070. Right?
Well, India's another massive producer of goods, and
But as India, a humongous economy, a humongous country, saying, "Hey, we're going to we own PSA."
And I feel really conflicted personally about some of this stuff, because I heard Mary, I think it's Mary Robinson, one of the elders, was speaking at one of these sessions, and she was saying, look, you have to treat every nation in its own context. And I really respect that, and think that is right. But when you start to think about every nation in its own context, and you put the likes of India at net zero by 2070, but how many islands will disappear between now and then? And it just feels as though there's a lack of unity in trying to be cohesive in how we get to a solid place around 2050, or what looks like the right period. And it don't seem easy to get to. So I feel a little bit conflicted.
Yeah, it is weird. I follow the UWI Caribbean Seismology Institute on Facebook. And I saw something yesterday that had me a little really nervous just seeing it, where they have this sort of poster up all about tsunamis and what to do. And it was, if you see the tide suddenly go out, run.
Yeah.
If you hear a noise coming from the distance, run. If you feel the earth quake and the sea level changes, run. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
This is, yeah. And sometimes you do need that shock to think of, okay, maybe we can't immediately turn climate change around, but we have to actually learn how to live with it.
Yeah.
There will be floods, there will be tsunamis coming, right? There will be water levels rising up. Things are going to change. So in as much as we want to look at how do we reduce emissions and maybe have the ozone heal itself, we have to think of how do we live with this shift in the climate. How do we build?
But a huge part of, and I think this is the point that Prime Minister Motley and the prime ministers and leaders of small island states are trying to make. We can adjust and live with our behaviors. But if we're dealing with storm after storm that's destroying our infrastructure, we can't sustain economies like that, because it don't take a lot to wipe us out.
And that's her point about the metrics that are used by the World Bank and the IMF and what's not to lend funds to, and that kind of thing as well, because they use GDP or different things like that. And that's what happened with Bahamas. Bahamas is considered an extremely wealthy country, so then they actually couldn't go and access funds to rebuild after the hurricane. They had to go on the open market at some crazy rates. But guess what was the one thing they needed to get money coming in? Tourism. They had no tourism going on because the place was flattened. So how they can pay back them rates? So straight away, then it means from an economic perspective, you're pushing them down. So you're actually going to cause a country like that to regress. But Guyana drilling for oil. Barbados also saying they want to drink for oil. Trinidad, oil. So forget Trinidad for a second, because that's historical. Barbados looking to go find new wells. Guyana, Suriname, new wells. So how we talking climate change and its impact? But then we go in and drill new wells.
Fossil fuel.
Right.
That's the conflict.
and that's the conflict. No, I understand why you're gonna do it, because they're saying, look, this thing ain't gonna change anytime soon, and there's still some money to be made from this. So while it going, let me cash in. But the answer is that the right way to go? Don't know. But one can clearly understand, because every country around the world is at different stages of development.
Every country in its own context.
Yeah, but it will always seem like the right thing when economy comes above everything else. I think, and that is the real conflict that we have in our nations. That yes, economy is important, But if that's really the basis upon which we build all our strategies, I think we're losing a lot as a result.
Well, you might say economy, someone might say livelihood. So when you change the word to livelihood now, now you're talking something else there.
I think livelihood, well-being could encompass well-being as well.
Yes. Yes.
Right. So that for me feels a little bit broader or different.
Feels more
or
social.
differently sliced. than,
Differently sliced, but then the thing that would always be an issue there though is we, to use the British phrase, we are where we are.
We're where we are.
You are very British.
And I know.
We are where we are.
It is what
And
it
there's a
is.
certain lifestyle that people have become accustomed to. And there's certain levers that you need to use within, the context of a country to keep people at that level. And I think what we've got to be careful of, and I think that's where we are now, and that's why people doing what they think they need to do, as far as I know I'm saying this, but I got people that depend on me that gotta live at a certain standard. All day, one ain't changing the time soon, so let me drill y'all and get some money for it so that we could live at a certain standard. Otherwise, what you can say is, well, what we should do is accept that we can live in, if you use the measures of the world, accept that we're gonna live here and allow the rest of the world to go along and do what they want. But given that we understand and we know better, let me just eat ground provisions and potatoes and edits only.
Yes, thank
Not
you.
saying that is not saying
Yes,
that anything wrong
thank
with
you.
that. Not saying anything wrong with that. But we might say, let me just eat ground provisions, suck some cane, eat some maize, grow some rice, and we
And be
good.
sustainable.
And don't import nothing, and only use rowboats when we going out to fish
Gashing.
and that kind of stuff. And I think, to me, that's kind of the that's potentially what could get created across the world.
Well, and I suppose the other major problem here is that when you look on a lot of who is trying to dictate where we go next, these are the countries who have been the historic polluters, who have gained their wealth from polluting. And now that other nations are trying to get themselves involved in widening their economies and supporting their people, suddenly it's like, hold on. You can't do that because that's not going to work. You need to do this. Right?
Well,
and that isn't playing out very well between the large industrialized nations and developing nations. There's a real conflict across those two.
yeah. The only reason that this whole thing going so slowly is because capitalism is protecting itself. And until when capitalism figure out how to make money from the next phase, you can see this thing go at lightning speed.
Will be accelerated, yeah.
And then again, we will get left behind again. Why?
Yeah.
Because now we would just be a market as opposed to developing anything.
I think capitalism is getting there. I saw a guy, I can't remember his name, a British guy, investor, who is looking to create a pipeline or an energy line from Morocco, it is, where, because Morocco has large deserts that are just there. So he's saying, hold on a minute, why don't we just build some large solar farms here and run a pipeline from Morocco all the way into the UK? And there we have some good sustainable energy.
Yeah.
I
But
thought
again-
that is very interesting. So, and he's going through the plan. I said, where are the Moroccans?
In this,
in this.
the workforce.
Yeah.
The workforce. And that's
are
really...
they going to be able to benefit from the energy that you're siphoning off of
From their land.
their circumstance? Yeah.
Exactly. And I think this is the real
Climate
sad
colonization,
thing
man.
about our inability, or how not thought it was your inability. This is the real sad thing about the way how I've seen the solar energy industry across the region kind of just drawn to a standstill.
Yeah.
and other areas, because there was a time in the 80s and early 90s when
90s.
solar energy in the region was far superior to anything in the United States, in Florida and what's not.
Man, we should have so many solar farms now across the region.
But you see, the challenge that we always have is things get built around personalities.
Yeah,
and the personality who was driving that, unfortunately, we lost him. And that was Professor Oliver Headley.
True. Yes.
We lost him back in the 90s.
Yeah, but we were so far ahead in that when the United States started to get on board, it was actually Caribbean technology that they were using in Florida.
Yeah.
To get hot water and what's not in the, because they realized, well, hang on, is people down here, why are we not doing this? And you would actually go to some places in Florida and you would see solar dynamics and stuff. You would see the tanks on their house and you're like, we all out here? I didn't even know that. But we just never kicked on. But what's going to happen, you know, as you were saying, Philip, is that they're going to figure out a way how to harness what we have.
Yep.
And then we can become a workforce.
Just
like they're doing with weed. When capitalism figure out how to do this thing and it like become more palatable, all of a sudden, let everybody take weed. But what happening across the region now? Who owning the weed plantations, or we're gonna be to use that phrase, across the region? Not we.
No.
Matter of fact, we can't even grow it.
No.
You might not call them plantations. I might call them.
I know, but I use that word deliberately.
I know.
It's a form of recolonization, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
It's a form of recolonization.
Easy.
And that's really what it is that capitalism trying to figure out. What do we need to do to recolonize? Because again, this is so deep. When you read back at some of Walter Rodney and that kind of stuff, and the way how they colonized Africa when they realized they needed a workforce, as well as we need ingredients and raw materials. Where are we going to know? Raw materials, ingredient, and who got all them in abundance?
Yep. The continent.
Back.
And who ain't figure out how to harness it yet?
Yes. Yep.
Why?
Well,
because we get put in the box as consumers, and we wouldn't go use our own intellect to develop our own
we're not going to be seen as the creators of the wealth in the what will be probably termed as the green industrial revolution, which is a term that you'll hear a lot of, I'm sure.
Well, no,
forward.
and I saw Prime Minister Motley again, and this is where you gotta hold people to account. Fantastic speech, yes, but then she also was mentioning that she will be in the press conference recently. She's in Holland to understand how they do the wind farms and that kind of stuff, because they're potentially going to be a Dutch company who are going to be putting 2 or 3 wind farms off the coast of Barbados. And all that was going in my head is, and where's the technology transfer?
Yeah.
Where is the transfer in that we can do this ourselves?
We're making the same mistakes.
There's an outlay of funds going to a set of people that so now again, we're consumers.
They'll come for a season, do what they need to, and take off, and leave no relevant positive legacy for our people. Happens
again,
all the time.
Other than being a workforce.
Yep.
And this is the issue.
I don't know if you are, because yes, you saw Prime Minister Motley in Brussels, but I don't know if you've been keeping up with this whole countdown to Republic in Barbados, since we did our show a few weeks ago. Something came up this week that I thought was quite bizarre. I don't, but I thought it was bizarre.
Yes, Caroline.
I thought this was peculiar. the kind of word. Prince Charles to visit Barbados as a guest of honor as the Caribbean island becomes a republic. What you make of this, man? Because I feel as though this is a little bit of a misstep for me. I can't reconcile this with all of what I've been hearing about where we are going and how we're going to look after our own affairs, and we are going to chart a new course and all that. Why Prince Charles gotta be coming?
Good question.
I can't figure this one out.
I know. Before we get to that point, did you see Carla's point there just now as well about the prices and that kind of stuff? I thought that was increasing. Yes, Carla, I 100% agree there. But Prince Charles.
I've met him, you know.
Have you?
Oh, have you?
Oh, it must be you that invited then.
No.
Did you reach out your hand first, or did you wait for him to reach his hand out?
I broke protocol.
Ooh.
Did you bow?
I met him and no, I touched him on the shoulder.
What?
Charles, what's going on?
I met him and Camilla actually.
All right.
A couple of years
So
ago.
you might be happy then that he is coming down to give us his blessing.
I think he's a very sort of I think he's a complicated character. In
what way?
He completely lived in the shadow of his father. He doesn't have a really strong personality. You know, he's a dominant sort of character.
Man, I don't put so much thought on Prince Charles, yeah.
Well, I said I've met him personally. I've touched him on his shoulder,
and you glean all that from that.
And I shook his hand. The handshake was not as
a bit limp.
It wasn't what I was expecting.
Bit limp, man.
Fingers only. Fingers.
Fingers. Yeah, that fingertip handshake.
But it was good. He came over very warm.
So you feel he should be? You feel he should have been invited to the transitioning ceremony of wherever it is they can call it in at the end of the month?
I think there's something in that. I think there is a little bit of branding and marketing associated with that. In that there's been a lot of noise in the UK from certain media outlets saying, "Look at this island, ditching the Queen," using that sort of language, and maybe this is a way for the Prime Minister and the government to show it's not what you are writing.
That might be the case, but honestly, my view is, I think the timing is off. I don't think he should be there. I feel if we and the way this thing has been sold to the Barbadian public about, you know, standing on our own 2 feet and putting behind us the shackles of the past and all this kind of language, it does feel a little bit strange to me that in order for us to get there and really see our republic there, this is who we are, this is the next step in our journey, he got to be there looking over his shoulder to say, yes, that's
I like how Carla put it. It's like, you have some family members at the wedding. They're just there. You can't leave out. You can't forget Charles.
But there's some family members you're not going to send an invite to.
I agree. Look, I kind of like Philip. I could see potentially, if I squint and work hard, a potential reason behind it.
Mm-hmm.
I could potentially see it.
Yeah.
This whole, you know, the ultimate diplomat and da 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 da, and look, there's nothing to see here kind of stuff. If I squint and throw all my rational thinking to a thing and have no opinion on it at all, I could potentially see that. I think.
Thank you for that one, Kara.
It is nonsensical.
I agree.
There's no need. And I tell you why for me. Almost on every term, Prime Minister Money, you know, and rightfully so for her reason, the whole thing was about, you know, charting our own course, our own destiny. We can do this, da 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 da. To me, I think there's some things, especially in my opinion, because this whole process, again, in my opinion, has been so wishy-washy that it lacks any real bite or teeth or anything like that, or any real inspiration as far as I'm concerned. But that's just me. I know other people might say something different. That is my opinion. To me, it would have been show a little punch if we just do it.
Do it ourselves. This is we thing.
Okay? I don't need no Prince Charles to be there, because irrespective of how it actually is, there's a way of how it can be seen, as if somehow we get permission, as if somehow he hand over the
You can see the headlines being written already.
As if, man, forget he and invite he the following week. When we already. That's the way how I see. And if you can pay so much emphasis on symbolism, I can't see how you could not think that this is actually sending a very that this can look bad.
A conflicting message.
But this is the thing. I just don't. What you expecting he to do at the ceremony? What is his role?
It's like when Hong Kong get hand back to China, right? Obviously, them out there and they handing back Hong Kong to China. Them ain't handing thing to we no more. That day happened in 66, right? Now we going along, but we business. To me, let we go along. Why is he there? Because what's gonna end up happening is $1 million all across the world. The focus will be Prince Charles.
Well, the British press will be all over it once he's going to Barbados. We don't know that. They will be following him down there and writing a story that actually is going to be very different to the story that we want told.
Well, they're going to write a story that they want to write anyhow. Let's say they're already writing some nonsense out here in the press.
My word.
Whether it's China who actually got me moving to becoming a republic, to the fact that we know what we're doing and we're going to learn about we business and how dare we considering all that and do for we. I don't know what to do. They can't really point to nothing. But that's what they talk about. To me, just go along. Irrespective of my feeling of how we get there or whatever, we can do it. Don't invite the Prince Charles. No, for what? To prove what? Because no, I don't see the point. This is one of them cases where I think, in my opinion, you're overplaying your hand, or as the Americans would say, you played yourself. Because the whole thing should have been just on us moving on. Now it's about Charles coming down.
Yeah, and I think it will
might have just been a moment.
Blessing.
But might have just been a moment. They met up at COP in Glasgow, having a good little laugh. They said, I know you're going to have a republic. Could you just put me on your list?
That you think so?
Charles, you know I would always welcome you.
Yo. See, that's Philip.
We got cut out that PC show.
See, people says me. That's not me. That was Philip.
Pep, I hope you're watching.
Love her. Love her.
I really don't see the need for it. That is
Charles
just
gave the royal nod to the Barbadian Republic. Yep, the approval.
Exactly. You're right, Kara. And that is not, we don't, true or false, that will be the story. To me, don't let it be a story. Don't even put it there. Suppose he decides, you know what? Let's bring my son and wife down. Why don't they come down? Suppose he says, suppose all of a sudden it turned into
you sound like you.
Yeah.
you got it down pat, man.
You know I mean we name. We name the older boy.
Will,
you know what I mean, William, but you know they bring William down the road. So
Harry.
They bring Harry down the road, so they can bring William. And it turns out, in my opinion, no. Don't do it.
I think we lost it, man. We've lost something with that whole arrangement for me. And whilst everybody would have mixed views about how the whole process has been handled and what we're doing, I feel we've just knocked things back completely by having him there, because he is going to become the story, not the transition.
And irrespective of story, forget the story in the United States. In the United Kingdom. For me, as a Bajan, it still gives the thing of, so we needed their blessing?
Yeah.
When all the time the story was, no, we don't need their blessing.
We're doing this ourselves. This is us.
Like, no. And I know that is not the case, but it's just the impression and the symbolism that it was shown. My view is, nah, don't bother. Stand there. We can invite you next week. After we done gone along and do what we gotta do.
Yeah, you can come and talk with the Commonwealth.
Exactly. Exactly. We're going to freeze and take out the piece of cake, defrost it.
We had to say for you,
and you left piece for you.
You know that we still have piece of our wedding cake from 2003 in the freezer.
You serious?
Man, that thing there's like a fossil. No, man. That's a dry.
You sure that I'm growing another cake?
Every year we say we should really open this and have a look.
So what want to wait him for?
I don't know.
Man, look, that only thing, let me eat it for Christmas.
That thing
Yeah?
is
Let me
salty
do it.
thing, man.
Let me say it's good cake. All right, yeah, let me do it.
That thing is salty thing, man.
Bring the thing down the road, let me have it for Christmas, man.
No, but I agree with that one. I just don't see the point in
Carry.
being there. I think that's one where a hand get overplayed, or the, as Philip said, the euphoria of the moment. On either side, I don't know. Cause maybe he invited himself for true. He might have.
I think so. I think
I
So
wouldn't doubt
maybe
there
that.
was a little bit of that.
Yeah.
the
Kind of
euphoria
force
of
you
the
in a
moment
little bit.
on both sides, and then he decide the thing. And I think it's the wrong move. Wrong move. She should have said no. Yeah, Philip can't got enough freezer burn for you. That ain't eating. That let me you put cheese in the oven. Not in the oven, sorry. You put cheese in the
In the back of the fridge.
in the back of the fridge, and it gets so hard it freeze, right? And then you try and defrost it, it just come up crumbly, crumbly, crumbly.
Yeah, man.
That is that is so man.
Yeah, and Angela, you okay? I mean, a rum and coke is okay, but
Drink a rum and coke. Now you drinking too, Philip? That look like a rum and coke you had there, man.
Oh, this is ginger wine.
hey,
Oh. Okay.
you're staying up on the ginger, man.
He could taste it now. So he, so he
I
good.
found quite useful that actually for sort of retraining my taste as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's have a little sip of that every now and then.
Sounds good. Sounds good. But yeah, that is an interesting one. I thought that was a misstep. That's just my view. I thought.
I think so. I thought the whole process wasn't, being managed as well as it needed to be, and then this was kind of like, oh man, why put this on top of it now? Well, it's an official goodbye.
Yeah, I don't get me wrong. As I say, Shelly, if I squint, I could see the diplomatic reason behind it. Fantastic, great. But there was still a different way of getting that message over. And to be honest, I don't think the average Brit even thinking about Barbados being a republic when they're thinking about going for the holiday.
No.
That thing is still very strong there, and it will always be. And if there was anything to be reinforced, it could have been reinforced after the fact, in my opinion. Again, if your purpose is the symbolism of becoming a republic, but now you overshadow becoming a republic with being diplomatic. So now you lost, in my opinion, the essence of the message to the people. Forget what message you want to send. So now you don't focus on the message to Bajans. You're focusing now on the message to the United Kingdom. And that is wrong. You've lost it completely. That's not where the message should be.
And not only that, you lost it not having a complete handle on the message at home.
In the first place.
So you just lost it. You're creating real confusion here now with a population that was not totally behind you because of the approach you've been taking. So let's see where that one goes. But maybe he wants to get away from winter,
Maybe he wanted a bit of a
That's my boy.
he wanted a bit of a tan and what's not.
Yeah.
So why not? Huh? And again, when I squint and decide to focus on what I believe the focus should be on, I could see how you can get to that point of him being there. And as Shelley said, I could see the whole diplomatic thing and the reconnection, and I could see all that. But to me, in the moment, that's not where the focus should be. Because once again, in my opinion, you reduce me to second. And as Mark was saying, while the message was already being lost at home, despite you telling me that it's to put me first, now once again you go like, oh, actually, no, let me put you second again. Let me focus on over here. Just for the last time. After today, when we become, then the citizens will be first, and the little boys and girls could dream about becoming the head of state. Until then, though, let me just fix up this connection here and make sure that they know that we are right and we still good.
You don't think about going down for the ceremony? No,
I think
not in these COVIDious times, man.
Not in COVID notwithstanding, it is something that I would have loved to be a part of. It is something that again, as you were saying, the messaging and wrong has been handled poorly. So I have not been excited by it. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I can understand that, but I'm even surprised that we haven't even seen anything yet in terms of what is actually going to look like, because in reality, it's days away now.
It is days away. But it's just lost, in my opinion. The excitement of it has not being there, and it should be a very exciting moment for Bajans. It wasn't there in the first place, and this whole thing with Prince Charles, in my opinion, further diminished the excitement. But everything else notwithstanding, it's something that I wouldn't mind being a part of it if I were home. Why not? You know,
I mean, it would be interesting to see what Mark just said he don't know what it's going to look like. I mean, it's not going to be as drastic as people going to wake up the next day and forget how to speak English.
No, I that's certainly not what I'm expecting. But you might forget how to speak Bajan. But I kind of expect that we should by now have had our invitations to the whatever the thing is going to be. You know.
Oh, that's your problem. You say, wait, invite Charles and not me.
They invite me.
So why? So listen. Well, why we ain't getting an invite?
Fair enough.
This is true too.
Well,
you got citizens who live outside of Barbados who see this as quite a significant moment. But Charles we ain't getting an invite. What going on here? Come on, man.
Okay, well, you have a case. Yeah.
Was that carousel?
Beards and games, music, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, you cannot invite me now. You understand? Exactly. Let me know the plans. No, I it's just a weird one. It feels something that shouldn't feel weird. You know what I mean? Something that should be an easy goal, an easy win. Just somehow we managed to muck it up.
Look at this one here. Look.
The Prince representing me.
He represented you for sure.
You're welcome.
Me.
But
Not me, man.
if it is one of the three of us that he's representing,
It's definitely you,
he's
Barrow.
representing you, Barrow.
Me, man. Not
It's so
me.
going to be turned up. I'm here on behalf of Andre Barrow. And
Not me at all. Not me. He ain't representing me. Me representing me. Let me get that right. And the new president, Miss President
Sandra
Husband.
Mason.
I guess that's what you're gonna say. President Husband.
President Mason.
Okay. Sandra Mason. So that's right. Sorry. Husband. Sandra Husband's the MP. Yes. So it's just interesting. It's just, to me, we shouldn't have to be talking about it in the way how we talking about it. It should be something that's a lot more symbolic and important, and we should be more talking about it with pride. And there's pride there, don't get me wrong, but it's not the overwhelming feeling. If you know what I mean.
that would come. That would come.
We can come back to that point there, Valerie, in a bit.
When you start steaming your conkeys, all you're going to be thinking about is Republic. It will come. Yeah, man.
You never know.
It was spelled right up.
I might, you know what I might do? I can mix up a batch, right? I can separate my batch of conkeys and I can put some food there in one and put blue in one.
Yes.
I can make blue and yellow conkeys.
Hey!
Yeah.
The Jamaicans will be saying, that's blue draws. It's blue draws.
Oh, yeah.
There might
I know
be
come up
something
with
there,
something.
you know.
I know come up with something, you know.
Nah, there
I know
might be
come up with
something
something.
there.
Yeah.
I gonna make some
and
blue
yellow
and yellow conkeys.
That's how we commemorating the transition.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
how I commemorate the transition.
Blue and
Yeah.
yellow conkeys.
Blue and yellow
Not
conkeys.
like them ones I see this week with ketchup, right?
No, come on. That's a thing I know come up with. I can do that. I can make some blue and yellow conkeys. I can put it up on your site, man,
Looking forward
and
to
show
it.
people. But that's how I can do it. That's how I can do it.
Some little black raisins
we can
in
make
the middle.
the raisins can be the trident.
Yeah. I'm good idea.
I know add.
Good
I
idea.
know add to it. Yeah.
Good idea.
Wow.
I can do that. I can definitely do that for sure. I can try that out and see what's happening, man. But no, as I say, should feel, but still a good thing that is happening. I don't know what he there and what's not, but we'll see. Anyway, what you guys getting up to for the rest of the week?
Well, you know how it is. As we said at the beginning of the show, the darkness is here. I don't know how y'all feeling about this particular winter, but it just
Hard.
yeah, jeez, man.
Yeah.
I don't look forward to this time of the year at all. And this
But
year,
we know you get all sad and things.
I'm telling you, man, this thing is crazy. I for 20 years of being here, you would have thought by now at least I should have
I would say
adjusted.
after 20 winters, this is still something about this one just feel different.
Man, look,
Me too.
when the clocks go back, I just bury my head. I just feel like, oh man, I can't.
Normally, I fine. Normally, I'm fine. But I was saying to Carrie the other day that for whatever reason, this one feel different. This one I even feel like it getting darker even earlier than normal. Then that's how different it feels to me.
It's dark, and you could go sleep and wake up, and it's still dark, and it ain't even midnight yet.
Yeah, like it was 4:30, 5 o'clock, and outside it feel black. I was like, it always used to get so black at 5 o'clock. It feel like if it used to, the clocks will go back, and then there was a gradual, and by the end of November, that's when it happened. But now it feels as if all of a sudden, by 5 o'clock, 4:30, place black. I'm like,
yeah, man.
Really?
Yeah.
Did I miss this all this time? I don't know. Maybe it's a combination of
Cold and wet.
the last 24 months or so of being inside and all that kind of stuff that you feel. It could be, I don't know, Adrian. It could be climate change. I don't know, actually.
Could be.
Yeah, it's a tough one, but I try to be as cautious as I can be this winter. There's still a lot of work to do, obviously, and looking forward to Christmas. By the way, that's my next thing now over the horizon, man. You see the adverts already out.
Yeah.
Everybody gone early this year. Yeah.
Tonight?
Everybody gone early this year, trying to entice you into this Christmas in November thing. Come quick, the gifts are not going to be here. All this nonsense.
Well, they'll scare you into shopping, right? Because they're telling you that all the tankers park up outside the Liverpool and thing can't get in because nobody ain't driving the trucks. So therefore, you might not get your present. So buy early. Buy early. That's the new mantra. Buy early. You don't want to miss out. So that's the new thing. So I haven't gotten into that part of it yet. But yeah, everybody gone early with the Christmas stuff. But of course, in Barbados, we don't do that.
No.
Until November 30th. That's sacrilegious.
You got to do Republic Day first, man.
Of course.
Indeed.
Hey, it will not be called, it still will be called Independence Day.
Okay, nobody told me.
That's what was said. That is what was said. But yeah, so.
But listen, I'm looking forward to my Christmas in the south of England this year. So
come down, man. Come down.
We got it. We got it marked. We just waiting for our official invitations, like everything else.
So wait, if you want to get an official invitation, you don't come in. You're the real Beijing. You know it coming or it happening already, but I still got to invite you. Jeez, on bread, man.
Listen, and you know how we operate. You get invited, Phil? Yeah, you invite already?
Informally.
Hey, come in, man. Don't worry. We doing a little plan. We doing a little.
Nobody made a headline about it. But.
Nobody made a headline. Yeah, see, Martin
Prince Charles. yeah.
He made it for invitation. He want official invitation. See that there now?
No, man. We can have a good one, man.
Organic. It could be good. Yeah, the children looking forward to it, of course. So that can be an interesting time. Every day, I think that's all I hear about. What are you looking for? When are they coming? What day are they coming from? That's the whole thing that I get it. So y'all I guess we got to decide what date we can start it, but we'll be fine. It'll be good. Don't worry. Your invitation is coming soon. Don't worry.
But that's what we're looking forward to. So I know that's not in the week, but that's my next big thing. I can't wait. I let your children know.
You got marked already. You conking out. You got.
See it. Yeah.
Same thing too. I looking forward to it too. I think I see somebody there. So
and not to mention, if the blue and yellow conkeys go down good at Independence, they might get a repeat at Christmas.
Might get some red and green ones.
You never know.
I might keep back some blue and yellow. Look, I feeling it now. The more I think about it, yeah, I feeling it. As long as I'm not putting too much dye in it, change the taste of my conkeys now.
The challenge that gonna be hard. Because if you add that blue, you can probably end up with a funny olive green colored conky.
Exactly. That's the thing, because you got an orangey type color already. Yeah. And then they got to put in half a bottle of blue. And that's me, you're eating dishwater.
Man, you should try some icing. You want icing on your conkeys, man. Not dye.
We should end this show right now.
Yeah, I think that's when you know you're coming to the end. Mark sleepy. When Mark sleepy, he started talk that kind of nonsense.
Boy, Boiler, don't knock it. It might be a thing. You never hear about icing on conkeys?
No.
Mark,
No,
I am
no,
knocking
no,
this
no, no, no.
right now. I'm knocking it. I'm ending that.
And if Philip,
Stop it.
the
Honestly.
kitchen experimenter, tell you knocking it on its head,
Hey, listen.
knock it on the head.
He only says so on the show, but you know what he really saying there? No,
What?
that's true, though.
No. I am saying it up front. There will be no icing on no conkeys
My nickname
coming from my house. No.
Okay, I might
No.
try a thing and post it up and see what I think, man.
No.
When you say posted that, you mean as a picture? You don't mean posted?
Yeah.
Okay.
Blue and
No,
yellow Didi don't encourage that nonsense.
That
Blue and yellow
is
phone.
that. Didi, you get
Don't
me.
encourage that nonsense. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. I ain't even bothering to try it. I would try to die just to see what happened. On 1 or 2.
Yeah,
but,
I don't.
But
Yeah.
I don't know if it
icing
will work.
You think icing is taking it too far?
That's
Nah,
beyond fire.
I ain't know about that.
That's beyond fire, man.
I ain't know
Blue
about
and
that.
yellow conkeys, man.
We won't be doing that. But look, let me wrap up. Guys, it's been fantastic.
Mark Eddie show, boy. Mark Eddie show for real.
You know what I mean?
I say for conkeys. It's
But I
been
can give you a
nice
chance
being
to
here.
Exactly. Look, everybody has been good being here. Usually we always come back from a break. We're just catching up and having some fun with you guys. I know we had some issues on Facebook. Sorry about that. Apologies. Don't know why that happened, but we'll look into that. Probably make the video available on Facebook anyway. But thank you so much.
Well, they
already.
changed the name to Meta. No, so
Ooh, Meta. That's another thing we should have talked about there.
we'll talk about that another time.
Yeah, another time, definitely. But Mark, how are we going out today?
Well, I saw somebody, I think it was Caroline in the comments and a couple other people talking about and extending their condolences to the family of Dennis Johnson. And I thought, as we come to the end of this show, that we should pay a tribute to a Caribbean man, born in Grenada, schooled in Trinidad and worked in Barbados, and a voice of broadcasting that has been around for so long and has been so excellent, and who sadly passed on the 2nd of November. So we felt that this is a good way for us to go out this evening to pay a tribute to Dennis and the voice that
Indeed.
we've all known and love over the years.
Indeed.
To share with you are the words of the President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago on her swearing in. Because I want to ask those who made the comment about crying down the government and tearing down the country, what they think of our comment. The challenge with political capital is that if you start bushfires, ask the people in the fire service. You may be unable to control the bushfire started on your behalf by supporters or whomever. And if it burns out of control, it can burn up your political capital. This is the Wednesday edition of Down to Brass Tacks. As I said, I'm Dennis Johnson. John Stout is taking care of things technical. 4341790 is the number you call. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines you can use via that number. 266-IVOB, 266-4862 is on WhatsApp. Or you can reach us at brasstacks.com.
You have any idea who I am and why I'm calling you, or you don't know?
Not really.
Good, okay, good. I like people who not really things, because I was saying it's always good to have a gift. And I have a gift for you, Troy. It's a really good gift, and I hope you enjoy it when it's opened. Because I have something here in my hand, and it's strange to read this coming from a male, because I'm a very sentimental kind of guy, and I tear up easily, and sometimes I get laughed at, okay? So,
Okay.
but I'm sitting here, and this says, I sit and write this email with tears of mixed emotions to you. Just the thought, ever so slight, of seeing my mother standing in front of me and being able to smell her, touch her, and hug her after last seeing her face to face 23 years ago brings a special kind of warmth to me. You know that story, Troy?
Yes, very much so.